What's up, everybody? Peace. Just heads up, there may be some strong language in this episode. Ooh.
Some bad words.
So my mother, she tells the story that she knew I could sing by the way that I cried.
Aw.
Yeah, and I'm one of 14, so I feel like she was like waiting for one to be able to sing.
But wait,
You have 13 siblings?
Yeah, I think I'm like number 9 maybe.
You think?
I think.
Hey, everyone, this is Stretch Armstrong.
And my name is Robert Garcia,
Jesus
a.k.a.
Christ. Say your
Bobbito.
goddamn name.
Ah, listen, we're about to have a guest that has multiple names as well, so we might as well start from on the right foot. We got Maimouna Youssef, a.k.a.
Mumu Fresh.
And wow, what a brilliant soul.
A tremendous woman. She's a MC extraordinaire.
A singer.
An incredible singer.
Grammy-nominated backup singer for The Roots on the song Don't Feel Right.
A lot of people might be familiar with her for her role as a backup singer and sort of play in the back, but right now she's stepping out front, both as a soloist and with her project
Vintage Babies with DJ Dummy.
That's right. She's collaborated as a backup with Zap Mama, with The Roots, as you just said.
She's toured with Common.
But right now it's her time to step out up front into the spotlight, into the limelight. And wow, is she going to do it? She has an incredible singing voice, but she can spit with the best of them.
That's right.
Trust.
Real talk. I saw her perform with Common. It was a NPR Tiny Desk performance with the group August Green. And Common rhymed. Robert Glasper was on piano, 3-time Grammy Award winner. Audra Day performed. Brandy performed. You know.
Smashola.
Maimouna got on the mic and just put it down.
She did the destruction.
Shut it down.
She did the destruction.
Yeah, like Big L did in 95.
Amazing.
She's about to really take over the world.
Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
Not just the world of music, just take over the world. I was blown away by seeing her live, and we hope that the audience will be blown away by this interview about to come up.
Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Mumu Fresh coming right up. We'd like to say a quick thank you and share a message from one of our sponsors, Sony Music Latin, presenting Grammy Award-winning artist Ile, a Puerto Rican singer and composer known for her work with Calle 13. Her debut album, Inevitable, garnered her a Best New Artist nomination at the Latin Grammys. It also won the award for the Best Latin Rock, Urban, or Alternative Album at the 60th Annual Grammy Awards. Her new single and video, titled Odio, is available everywhere now.
20th Century Fox presenting The Hate You Give, a new film about hope and standing up for what is right. Based on a critically acclaimed New York Times bestseller by Angie Thomas. Starring Amanda Stenberg as Star with Regina Hall, Russell Hornsby, Issa Rae, KJ Apa, Algie Smith, Sabrina Carpenter, Common, and Anthony Mackie. Find your voice. Change the world. The Hate You Give in select theaters October 5th and everywhere October 19th.
And we're back here with the very talented singer and MC Maimouna Youssef, also known as Mumu Fresh.
What do you prefer, Mumu Fresh or Maimouna?
I mean, if you can say my whole name, then you can call me.
AKA, we're gonna give you both.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know I'm Bobbito Garcia, AKA Cool Bob Love.
Okay.
Did you know
good.
that?
I didn't know about the Cool Bob Love.
Oh,
He has a lot of other names.
That's
And
okay.
I feel a little like I've been deprived. I only
He's
have
nicknamed Deprived.
I only have the name that my parents gave me and Stretch Armstrong.
Which is exciting.
Which is exciting. That meant it wasn't exciting. Can you tell us how you got that nickname?
I think my name is hard for people to say, you know? So it kind of started, people would say, what's your nickname? And my mom would always say, no, don't let anyone call you by a nickname. If they break up your name, they break up your purpose. So they have to say your whole name, right? So she would never allow anyone to call me by a nickname. It's actually Black Thought who gave me the nickname Mumu Fresh. And then, you know, my web designer was like, hey, listen, no one's going to find your URL. You need to go by Mumu Fresh and have the .com be Mumu Fresh. So then we started that. And once we did the Tiny Desk, it was like, you know.
It's a throwback name, right? When fresh.
It is, right?
I mean, when was fresh still
it's true.
in the common parlance?
Yeah.
So Mumu means, as I started touring and I was using that name, like it means different things. Like, so like in Nigeria, Mumu means the fool, right?
Oh, get out.
And so at first people were like, when I would, talk to promoters, they would say, I don't know if we should promote you as Mumu Fresh because people might think you're the fool. And I was like, well, it could be stupid fresh, you know what I mean? I was like, so I just started saying it like, yeah, I know it means the fool, but I'm stupid fresh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that not just is my first name long. I have 7 middle names and a long last name. So
what are they? What's the full name?
Maimouna Youssef. That's like my full name. So he was like, yeah, so you're Mumu, okay? I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then I went to Germany, and Mumu means vagina.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's weird. And so I was like, well, at least it's fresh, you know what I mean? It could be.
It's the best kind to have.
So it's like all these places I would go and just find all
Oh my God.
different names, like all the different things in it. So
we are always happy to see family up here at NPR and Maimouna.
Oh yeah, you say it so nicely.
Thank you. Like I saw you perform at NPR Tidy Desk. I was in the crowd, and that put you on the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it was a blessing.
Did some good for you.
Oh, for sure. Definitely opened up a whole new audience. What I love so much about it is that, especially the first one that I did with Common, it came out on Women's History Month, the first day of Women's History Month.
That was the August Green.
Yeah.
With Robert Glasper,
Kareem Riggins and Common.
Common, yeah.
And Andra Day, she featured in Brandy. For it to be about something that means so much to me and for so many people to get it, for it to really, really resonate. Because, sometimes you can say something and people don't get it. They might not get it. Sometimes it's timing, it's delivery, it could be a myriad of different things. And people got it. And not just women got it, because I'm speaking to women, but I'm also speaking to men. The amount of men that reached out to me like, thank you so much for that. Like, something clicked when I heard your rap verse. And it changed my whole perspective.
Sometimes being a woman's like being black twice. I gotta scream fire instead of rape, but you tell me to act nice. Look pretty, stay slim, don't talk loud. Don't think, don't feel, don't act proud. But if I'm at my lowest, how you 100%? God made woman and man for the balance of it. So will the real men please stand up and defend what God made? Signing off for love.
That was so major, even more than Instagram following, growing, anything like that. The fact that I feel like I was heard. The Tiny Desk was kind of like the epitome of that, of being able to convey a really important concept and through hip hop and through song. Yeah.
Yeah, people wonder how revolutionary is hip hop in the moments when it's derogatory or is sexist or is expressing misogyny and everything. If people of color are expressing themselves and have a platform, and that's revolutionary. Right.
In itself.
But I do feel like hip hop has provided a space, and it's good to hear you as an MC, found that voice. Mm-hmm. But I think, there's plenty of singers who have put emotion and activism into songwriting as well and performed it.
Here and there, I definitely don't think it's encouraged amongst people of color. Like, if you've ever been signed to a publishing deal or been on a label, like, they're never going to encourage you to write about something besides a relationship, the club. You got about 3 topics that you're kind of tied to and confined to. What I was told when I was first getting into the music business is black people don't want to think. Don't start writing about anything deep. They're not going to get it.
Who told you that?
They were like A&R.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And on the publishing side or?
On the publishing side,
wow,
yeah. Because I was not only writing for myself, but I was writing for other artists. And I would write all these songs. It's like, hey, you're not going to be able to sell it to the artist that you're thinking about. And not because they didn't want to think. They weren't allowed to think. And so then I started realizing that, they would say, well, this is what the market wants. But I'm like, I feel like you're creating the market, though, when you limit artists and writers from being able to really write authentically and unadulterated, which is what made me want to be independent, because I was like, I don't like this structure. You all are not allowing the music to progress naturally. This is not a natural evolution. It's not. It's like you guys are putting all these, you're steering it a particular way, and that's not cool,
So earlier we were talking, it's unanimous. You have just an incredibly soothing, comforting voice, even
I want to
when
sing
you're
back
not
up
singing.
for you.
when you're not singing or spitting, just it's
Just
like
talking.
your default mode is just ridiculous. But let's get
Thank
into
you.
your voice.
Okay.
I think some people have to put a lot of work into the voice. I imagine since your speaking voice is just so ridiculous, you're starting so far ahead of everybody else.
Oh my God.
But is the voice that you have when you're singing, is that something that took a lot of work to nurture, or did it just sort of, you felt like at a young age you had it?
So my mother, she tells the story that she knew I could sing by the way that I cried.
Aw.
Yeah, and I'm one of 14, so I feel like she was like waiting for one to be able to sing.
You have 13 siblings?
Yeah, I think I'm like number 9 maybe.
You think?
I don't
That's
know.
a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot of us.
Wow.
But yeah, but of course it's so funny. Like my dad was like, "Yeah, right, she's not gonna be able to sing," and she was like, "No, I can tell she can sing." And even now, maybe like 5 years ago, my dad came to me and was like, "You can actually really sing."
But what was it about your crying chords that...
I don't know. She said
revealed to
that
her?
my crying was melodic. And she knew that I would be able to sing. So she started my mother's a singer too. She's actually Tommy Mottola's. So she was Tommy Mottola's first artist.
What?
And she was
What's her name?
Her name is Natasha.
You're just dropping so many things that we
Yeah,
gotta
but
figure
she's-
out how to address.
Sorry,
What's her name? Clearly.
Natasha.
Tommy Mottola.
Lives on the road. He lost a lady 2 months ago. Maybe he'll find her. Maybe he won't wander the road.
She sleeps in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, she left the music business. She totally made a whole life change and converted to Islam. And she started only doing like straight ahead jazz and like Afrobeat and like on some Letambulu, Mary Makeba, Hugh Masekela vibe, And so my grandmother, she was a choir director, right, in Chicago. Contralto voice, and my mother grew up singing in her church. So, but by the time I was born, they had all converted to Islam. So, like, technically, I wasn't supposed to, like, learn to sing gospel, but when I would go to my grandmother's house in the summertime, she would still teach me gospel. And I would learn, like, all these, like, escape songs, slave songs. And the other thing is that my grandmother is Native American. She's Choctaw. My granddad's Creek. But it was illegal to practice our culture until, like, I think 76. So the Freedom of Religion Act was passed for Native people then after the longest walk. They had to go back and relearn the language and the culture and the songs because it was illegal before. And you couldn't even speak the language or do any ceremonies, any sweat lodge, vision quest, Sundance. And so by the time I was born, they were going back and relearning those songs. So along with the gospel songs and the jazz and even the African songs my mom was learning from, being on the road with these Afro bands, I would learn traditional Lakota and Choctaw and Tuscarora, Meherrin, all these traditional songs. And I would dance in the powwow. I learned the traditional beadwork, like everything that we went back and relearned from, like, the Indian boarding schools. Native children were sent there to basically, it was a program called Kill the Indian, Save the Man, to basically wipe any kind of like Native memory of your Native culture and force you to assimilate into regular culture. That became another part of my cultural influence growing up, learning to sing those songs. At home, music was something we do. Like, if people ask my mother to, like, teach them to sing, she's going to make you cook and clean. That's, like, a part of the lesson, right? She'll be like, all right, shuck this corn and pick these greens, and then she'll just sing as she's doing it. I love the Lord. She'll say, come on, sing what you feel. Oh, he heard my cry. And she'll be boiling the water, sweep the floor now. And, like, that's how that's what it was like. And you just do chores and you cook and you sing. And I feel like I live such in an alternate universe. Like, people ask me, I grew up in Baltimore, but I'll say I grew up in my mother's house. Because I'm sure my experience was very different from my next door neighbors, because I was homeschooled up until high school, and I was really kind of incubated in her reality. And I actually got into hip hop because so my brother had this rule, right? He liked me, but I think it was like me being a girl was like my innate flaw, and it was like, how can I accept her being a girl, And so he had this rule that girls couldn't come outside in the summertime unless they could rap. So, like, you couldn't pass the steps to get outside. So I would just come outside and start trying to freestyle to start trying to battle him. And he's such a good battle rapper. He's so, I mean, he can just think of the most just degrading things to say to you in the dopest ways, you know. And, my self-esteem would just be crushed every day. And I just go back in like, damn, and I come back out again the next day and I'm trying to rap again and I'm trying to, put words together. So he kind of started taking to me like, all right, maybe I might be able to forgive her for being a girl. So he started saying, well, listen to the Wu-Tang Clan. So he would play the Wu-Tang Clan tapes and say, memorize all of their aliases and write down their raps. So I just started writing down bomb atomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses ever held the time defining me. So I'm still little, like 10 or so. I don't know what year that was, maybe 10 or 11. And so I'm like writing down all of these raps. And I don't even think my mom knew that I was like, listening to Wu-Tang. It's probably definitely not child appropriate. So it's like, so then that was like my orientation to hip hop. It's like I really held on to the things that I could get my hands on, and almost I feel like manifest destiny, because all of those artists, Black Star, who I used to sit and write their rap lyrics and just wonder how could I one day be so good, as good as them. And I've worked with every last one of them. Like, you know what I mean? I've toured with them. Like, they're the homies now. That's still insane to me. Like, I feel like that child manifested that destiny.
So you alluded earlier to your Native American heritage. Your whole family history is, I just think, incredibly rich and fascinating.
It's
and
a lot. They interesting.
Yeah.
In more ways than you know.
Well, we're going to try to get to some of those right now. Yeah, so if you could just maybe let the listeners know what your family tree is like.
My grandmother, she's Choctaw, and my granddad is Creek and African Americans, and my dad's side is African American. But the crazy part is, we just recently did like an AfricanAncestry.com, and his ancestry actually comes from like Israel, Persia, Iraq, that area. But I don't know enough about it to even claim that. So as far as I'm concerned, he's a black man. I know. When I told him that, he was like, well, tell that to the police. Or like, maybe I can get some credit now and get a loan. But so that's kind of my background. I definitely grew up in the culture, Native culture, practicing ceremony, dancing in a powwow, learning the traditional beat work, and then I also grew up in West Baltimore. So
what was that like, sort of, having one foot in each of those worlds? How did you balance that?
I don't know. It just was normal to me.
It was.
It wasn't until I was around other people who told me it wasn't normal that I was like, is that weird? Am I weird? It just was, we would be on the block one day, and then the next day we're like, in the woods praying for the full moon and doing sweat lodge ceremony. I mean, my first time sweating, I was 7. The first time going to Vision Quest, I was about 7 to 8.
What is Vision Quest?
I mean, it's the same thing that Moses did, all the great prophets did, but in the Lakota tradition, you go out on a mountain for 4 days and 4 nights without food and water. Your supporters, they eat for you or pour food and water into the fire, and you stay there and wait for a vision. So you prepare for a year for it, and you have prayer ties around you with tobacco, and you're asking God to give you a vision and a purpose for your life's mission journey. So when my mom went on her quest, I was about 7 or 8, so I came there as a supporter for her to sweat in the lodge. So basically in the lodge, I guess it's like similar in the Western world to like a sauna, but it's like 100 times hotter. And but it's built like a womb, so you're crawling back into the womb to rebirth yourself. But that was normal for me. We would sweat. That was a part of like growing up. My son, he sweated, like he became 7 and he sweated as his rites of passage. And it was even to the point that like some of my brother's homies would be like, what y'all doing in the woods? Like, why y'all be doing that? He's like, well, you'll come through. So then we have all the dudes from the hood, they come down south out to the land, and they started sweating and learning the tradition.
That was my next question.
Yeah, they would learn how
the technique.
It's true. They learn how to fire keep, and it was deep because you'll see them on the block and they might be talking crazy and being super reckless, but when they come on the land to do ceremony, they totally different. They don't use profanity. They don't smoke no cigarettes, no nothing. It was so transformative. Like, I really believe that the boys that were around my brother at that time, like my mom introducing them into like that ceremony, really saved their lives and changed their lives. By the time you get out, you covered in mud, like you have submitted. You're in full submission. No ego can exist there.
Can we talk about your grandmother? Grandma
sure.
Mountain Eagle Woman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got my grandma name over there? Yes.
We looked at a photograph of her online, and even through looking at a computer screen, I mean, her face is quite powerful.
She is.
And I'm sure she was quite quite an influence on you. I'm just curious, what did she teach you? What was the influence she had on you?
I think the biggest thing that she reminded me of, to not need other people's validation. In particular, because I don't look like her, and my hair doesn't look like hers. And so being younger and being in the powwows and in certain settings, there was a lot of scrutiny about, are you really Indian or not? To the point that I would say, Grandma, look, I don't want to be Indian. It's too much work. I'm cool. Black people like me. I'm cool being black. Let me just be black, because being Indian is too much work for a nickel. And
you gotta sweat.
yeah, I was like, it's not even that. It was
mud.
It wasn't the ceremony. I love the ceremony. It was proving to other people who would say, well, how come you're not lighter? And how come,
Gotcha.
And having to go over the whole history with them, like, well, all Native Americans don't look like that. So I would say to her, like, Grandma, they making fun of me, or they give me a hard time. They want to check my Indian card all the time, and I don't want to. I just forget it. I just won't do this no more. She was like, you don't let them decide what your destiny is. Like, you are who you are, whether they acknowledge it, whether they understand it, whether they validate it or not. I've had to think back on that lesson, and not even having anything to do with being mixed, but just being in environments where people, they couldn't see me. They don't know what to do with me. When I would get into the music industry later, they had no idea what to do with me. So there are times when things might be easier for me if I go along and get along and just don't say anything. But it's not going to be easier for the girl coming behind me if I don't say something right here and now. If I don't say, we're not going to do it that way, So,
I mean, that's definitely manifesting in your lyrics. Is manifesting in your independent career. Clearly uncompromised. Clearly controlling your creativity, but along the lines of your grandmother and your mother, you're a mother yourself. You have a child, and I imagine you have made some very tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
What are the struggles there? Raising a child and being an independent artist. And I saw all the tour dates.
Yeah.
Is your kid coming out on the road with you?
He does travel on the road with
Word.
me. This is it's funny. This is the first year that his father actually asked me this year if he could come live with him. And that's so hard for me, because I'm talking about, my son has been...
How old is he?
He's 12 now.
Okay.
My son has been on the road with me since the very beginning. Like, I recorded a whole album nursing him. You know what I mean? Like, he's been a part of everything. Like,
do you know Erykah Badu?
I do, yeah.
She does this.
Yeah.
She talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, he sells my merch. Like, when we go to shows, like, this is also kind of how I end up, like, homeschooling. That's his class. So he takes care of all the merchandising. He does
At 12 years old?
Yeah. He's been doing that since he was like 7 or something.
Wow.
So he traveled over. We stayed out in London for a little while. The first time when we went over there, they took my merch, right? Took my CDs, right? Told me I ain't paid taxes on them. So I said, look, Pop, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy merch over there, and we're going to have it delivered to a friend's house in London. So this is how much I'm going to pay for it. This is how much I can sell it for. This is the conversion rate. We are going to have to pay taxes at this particular venue. This is how much that costs. And I will make him do everything. He has to do the whole spreadsheet for our loss and our profits. And then he gives himself 10% of whatever the profit is. My son is...
Does he try to negotiate with
He
that?
He does. He definitely is saying that it's too much work and he needs 15%. And I said, but son, you have to deduct the rent, all your clothes, the food that you eat. You know what I'm saying? And then he wanted to hire an employee, but then he didn't want to pay the employee from his cut. He wanted me to pay the employee, and I said, "That's your employee. How am I paying your employee?" So I'm telling you, this is what my son is, an amazing person and a brilliant mind because he's had this kind of experience.
Sure.
So I try to make everyday school, because I'm like, bro, if I got to drive you all day long, like in a car all day long, I need you to read these contracts for me. So it's interesting because people who live in traditional settings, they may feel like him moving around and touring, they'll say, he needs to have a stable environment. He should go to the same place every day, the same time, do the same thing. And I'm like, but says who though? Can your kid read contracts? I'm just saying. But, it is a challenge. It's tough. It's never easy because it's been plenty of times, so many times, I've had to turn down work or turn down big opportunities if there's nowhere for him to go. Or if he's sick. I'm not going to say it's not hard. It's almost always hard. But I don't even recognize when things are hard anymore because I'm just so used to dealing with hard stuff. We throw it on our back and let's go. Let's keep it moving. Like, y'all ready? Let's do this. Get up this mountain.
I want to talk about a song.
Okay.
If I should die tomorrow at the hands of the policeman.
Say My Name, which is a tribute you wrote to Sandra Bland. And I'd love to hear, in your words, who Sandra was and what she meant to you.
We're gonna call it a suicide. Would you even question why?
I think her story hit me really hard because she was a woman, and as I watched the video of her on YouTube of her being drug out of her car and beat on the side of the road, and then I scrolled down to listen to some of the comments, I just kept seeing people write, she was too mouthy. That's the problem with black women. Y'all always talk too much, and that's what happens when you talk too much. And there was so little empathy, as if death is the punishment for being mouthy. And in general, I feel like women of color get a really bad reputation for speaking out against things. And it hit me because it could have been me. It could have been my sister or my mom. And I couldn't get through my day without writing it, And I had started jotting down little pieces of it. And we did the first part in a doo-wop because, in the 60s, people pour out a little liquor to this person who passed. And it was this homage, they were paying homage and libation to that ancestor. And then we went to the hip-hop part because, that's my heart. And so there's certain things I can only say rapping and certain things I can only say singing, So I'm like, I got to do both of them so you get what I'm saying. But the part that hit me so much when I said, well, we watched a woman get drug out of beat and filmed in the highway, and all y'all could say was black women too mouthy. I'm vexed searching my timeline, seeing people find time to criticize and villainize and calling it a suicide. But what if Sandra Bland was your child?
I know the struggle, it get hard, but we ain't backing out. Nothing is impossible. The word alone says I'm possible, so I'm the racehorse that I'm riding for audacity or hope.
Her mom called me after that. 3 o'clock in the morning, like, wake up. Is this Mumu fresh? I need to talk to you. She and I on the phone in tears, and it was just so heavy. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be like, her story was supposed to be told in that way. When we performed that song on NPR, like, everybody was in tears. I'm in tears. They're in tears. It was definitely like a spiritual experience we had together there. So I'm grateful for that.
All right, we're gonna go to a quick break. We'll be right back. Some days we're meant for each other. Fries and milkshakes, selfies and duck face. And now, what's good with Stretch and Bobbito and Spotify? Yes, the same app that has millions of songs now also has thousands of podcasts.
On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite shows and discover new ones. To subscribe to ours, search for What's Good with Stretch and Bobbito, tap follow, and get every new episode delivered to you.
Podcasts on Spotify. They're streaming right now. And now.
Hey, it's Jesse from Bullseye. Jack Black and Kyle Gass are back as Tenacious D. Mature, sophisticated masters at the peak of their craft.
Feels like hey, you know what? It feels like we're finally grown up. Yeah, grossed up. We're finally all grossed up, Gage.
New episodes every Monday on Bullseye.
Well, you know what that means. Bob?
Yes!
Mumu?
Yes.
Wait, is she...
What?
What?
She's Mumu for us?
Yeah, she said whatever you want.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna call her Maimouna.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
I mean, if she's all right with that.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
saying.
fine.
Okay, so back to you, Stretch.
It's time for the impression session.
Woo-wee! And a Baltimore house record, but I'm just looking at, like, you grew up in Philly. I think hip hop, you grew up in D.C., I think go-go music. I think of the go-go clubs, you know, and then I think of Baltimore. I think
definitely
like
house. Yeah,
it's like y'all
definitely
throw
house
down
music.
on some house music
Yes,
hard,
for sure.
like hard. So what's your experiences with house music?
You know, I really haven't done a whole lot. I was actually talking to Dummy and talking to Terry Hunter about wanting to work on some house music this year. I think because we started a jazz hip hop band, and for honestly, like when we were younger, we were against dance music. Period. Like, no dancing. I think that we thought that you know, like if you was gonna drop science, you can't dance. And
because that's the era of the mid-'90s when
right,
hip-hop
so
was
when we were
at odds with.
So
like,
that's what we grew up under.
Yeah.
So we kind of held that mentality, like no dancing. It was hard for me because I really like to dance, but I was like, no dancing. I was like, oh, and like shoulder get to go, like, go stop that shoulder. My cousin like, yo, stop. I'm like, you're right, no dancing.
But you know, hip hop at its core is
dance music.
Is pure.
It's really ridiculous. I don't even know what we were thinking. I mean, you know, so many thoughts that you have when you're coming up. Like, I always laugh about it when I see pictures from. I performed at Dave Chappelle's block party, and all of the pictures I look really, really sad because in my mind that's how adults looked, and I wanted to look older, so I would just look like I'm crying and just like dying every day. I'm like, adults look sad, so those are great choices though. And y'all put me on to some stuff, so.
Cool. Maimouna, thank you so much for being our guest on What's Good with Stretch and Bobbito.
Thank you.
Word.
Thanks a lot.
Peace.
That is our show. This podcast was produced by Michelle Lanz, edited by Jordana Hochman and Nigeri Eaton, and our executive producer is Abby O'Neill. Original music was provided by composer Ellie Escobar, as well as our own Bobbito Garcia.
If you like the show, you can find more at npr.org or wherever you get your podcasts, including bonus video content on Spotify on Fridays. While you're at it, please go to Apple Podcasts and rate, review, and subscribe. That's how we know you out there listening.
Or you can follow us on Twitter at Stretch and Bob or Instagram at Stretch and Bobbito.
Kaboom!